Welcome back to The Explainer. I'm your host, and today we're unpacking the sovereign digital frontier and how to build truly resilient governance. Do me a huge favor right off the bat, smash that like button and hit subscribe, because today we are tackling a massive regulatory shift that could literally impact your entire business overnight. You won't want to miss this.
Okay, picture this for a second. What if digital borders tighten tomorrow? It kind of sounds like a sci-fi movie plot, right? But seriously, imagine a massive global corporation, maybe even a tech titan you rely on every single day, just suddenly crumbling into operational chaos. And why? All because someone forgot to check a localized compliance box, or a single localized data breach triggered an immediate regulatory shutdown. As the source material points out, major public services and infrastructures really can face sudden paralysis from just one vulnerability in this new landscape. Cyber sovereignty isn't just theory anymore. It is quickly becoming an unavoidable reality.
For years, we've all been totally used to the borderless web. You know, that era of unrestricted, seamless global connectivity where data just flowed everywhere. Companies and individuals alike fed into this massive expansion. But guys, that era is shifting rapidly. We're moving straight into the era of digital sovereignty, which is defined by strict national control and hard data borders. The competitiveness and resilience of entire countries are now tied directly to the state of their IT infrastructure. Governments are fundamentally restructuring their policies, and honestly, the unrestricted web as we knew it, it's becoming a thing of the past.
Okay, let's dive into this. What does digital sovereignty actually mean when you get down to it? Simply put, it's a nation's legal and practical right to govern and control digital activities within its physical, territorial borders. Think about it. The cloud isn't just floating abstractly in the sky anymore. It is legally grounded in the literal dirt of specific countries. And this shift comes with some serious strings attached for global connectivity, meaning nations are actively clamping down and working to control data flows within their mapped borders. So let me ask you this directly. Does your core platform rely on third-party APIs housed in a foreign region? Does your business depend on cloud services stored overseas? Or maybe you do a lot of e-commerce with international clients? If you answered yes to any of those, data localization laws and cross-border transfer restrictions are going to heavily impact your day-to-day operations. The whole idea of just casually plugging into an API halfway across the world without a second thought? Yeah, that era is officially ending. And that brings us to the tricky part, actually navigating this regulatory landscape. Right now, governments are in an absolute sprint to refine their policies to handle new tech and emerging threats. Because it's happening so fast, a lot of businesses are just left scrambling trying to keep up. Companies that ignore region-specific regulations are going to end up tripping over miles of red tape, while the ones who prepare are going to scale seamlessly. So how do we find that sweet spot? How do we balance innovation with regulation and actually turn these data sovereignty mandates into an advantage?
Well, to stop scrambling, the source material outlines a really solid three-pronged approach. Step 1, get a dedicated officer, or even better, a whole team who just lives and breathes cross-border data practices. They become your absolute go-to for internal audits. Step 2, bring in third-party consultants. They give you that vital, localized insight and a much-needed fresh perspective. And finally, Step 3, tie the whole shebang together by investing in modern tools that actively track global data movement and monitor all those shifting compliance requirements across different jurisdictions.
But listen, you can't really track what you don't fully understand, right? Building a comprehensive risk management framework means pinpointing exactly where these cyber sovereignty laws intersect with your own systems. It's like a giant puzzle you have to solve. You've got to trace the threads and ask the tough questions. Is your customer data stored across borders? Where are those third-party APIs actually sitting? Getting a handle on this is absolutely crucial for mapping out your vulnerabilities before they become a problem.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it boils everything down to three core concepts for your data audit: where the data sits, who accesses it, and how it moves. Seriously, if you can't confidently answer those three questions right this second, your organization has a massive blind spot. Understanding these three elements is the absolute bedrock of surviving digital borders. Once you audit your data around these pillars, you're taking that crucial first step to taking back control of your digital sovereignty strategy.
Once you know exactly where everything is, it's time to build strong cyber resilience policies. Transparency matters immensely here, not just for your regulators, but for your clients too. You need strict, undeniable rules for classifying, handling, and disposing of data. A really smart tactic? Isolate your most sensitive information so it doesn't move unnecessarily. Because think about it. If the data never crosses a border, it never triggers cross-border scrutiny. Simple as that. Plus, keeping clear audit trails means you can instantly prove your compliance whenever regulators come knocking.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next point, because policies on paper, they only go so far. They have to be backed by smart infrastructure. At the end of the day, it's all about the actual hardware and software architecture you're building on. Your IT setup has to be scalable and flexible enough to adapt dynamically as these laws inevitably shift. You definitely don't want to be forced into a total system rebuild every single time a country passes a new regulation. Your infrastructure has got to be inherently adaptable.
Thankfully, there are some incredibly smart infrastructure solutions out there acting as a blueprint for us. Take hybrid cloud models, for example. They support multi-region hosting, which is just an amazing way to bolster your critical infrastructure while staying fully compliant. At the same time, we're seeing tons of companies switch to localized data centers just to check the boxes for specific jurisdictional requirements. These are total game changers because they let organizations meet data sovereignty mandates modularly, meaning you don't have to completely overhaul your legacy systems all at once.
Pulling all these strategies together, the ultimate takeaway here is crystal clear. If you want to thrive amid these stricter digital regulations, you absolutely cannot afford to play catch-up. You've got to anticipate cyber sovereignty policies, not just react to them after the fact. Staying ahead of the digital curve means baking that flexibility, those dedicated compliance teams, and that localized infrastructure into your business model today. You want all of this up and running well before the next wave of regulations even hits.
So, I'm going to leave you with this provocative question to help you audit your own readiness. Is your infrastructure resilient enough to survive a fragmented digital world? Honestly, it's a question every single organization needs to be asking right now by taking a long, hard look at their data flows, their APIs, and their physical servers. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. If you found this breakdown valuable, please do not forget to like, subscribe, and definitely share this with your IT and compliance teams. Stay ahead of the curve, guys, and I will see you in the next one.